10 minutes. That is all it took. Her car was still there, yet she was gone. And 20 years later, nobody has found Maura Murray dead or alive. Not one trace, not one confirmed sighting, not one answer. But here is what makes this case different from every other missing persons case you have ever heard. The people who should have found her didn't. The evidence that should have led somewhere didn't. And the closer investigators got to the truth, the more it slipped through their fingers like smoke. Someone knows what happened on that road. They always have. Maura Murray was 21 years old, nursing student, competitive runner, by every measure a young woman with her whole life ahead of her. But in the weeks before she vanished, something was quietly falling apart. Drinking incidents, academic trouble, a long emotional phone call with her father 2 days before she disappeared that neither of them could have known would be one of their last. Then on February 8th, 2004, she did something that nobody expected. She withdrew $500 in cash, bought a significant amount of alcohol, packed her car quietly without telling a single person where she was going, and drove north. Now ask yourself, why does a 21-year-old woman withdraw $500 in cash, buy that much alcohol, and drive alone into rural New Hampshire in the dead of winter without telling anyone? That question has never been answered, and it gets stranger. The night of February 9th, 2004, Route 112, Haverhill, New Hampshire. A quiet road surrounded by dense forest on both sides. Temperature below freezing, visibility low. Maura's car drifts off the road and hits a snowbank hard enough that the vehicle cannot be driven away. A school bus driver named Butch Atwood pulls over. He sees Maura near the car. He asks if she needs help. She tells him she already called for help. She tells him everything is fine. He drives home and calls 911 anyway, because something about it didn't sit right with him. The call is logged at 7:27 in the evening. Police arrive in under 10 minutes. She is gone. Now here is where it gets unsettling. She made no call to anyone after leaving campus. Not to her father, not to her boyfriend, not to a single friend. So why did she tell Butch Atwood she had already called for help? Was she buying time? Was she waiting for someone specific to arrive before police did? Or was she afraid? And if so, of what? Police searched the area immediately. No clear footprints, no signs of struggle, no evidence that another vehicle stopped between Butch Atwood leaving and police arriving. But here is something investigators quietly acknowledge. In that 10-minute window, a vehicle could have stopped. A driver could have pulled up to that crash site, offered a ride, and been back on the road before the first police unit arrived, and nobody would have seen a thing. Multiple witnesses later came forward saying they saw vehicles near that stretch of road that night. A pickup truck mentioned by more than one person independently. Accounts that were never fully followed up on in the critical early days of the investigation. Because here is the part of this story that should make your blood run cold. The early investigation was a mess. The crash site was not immediately secured as a crime scene. A full forensic sweep was not conducted in the first hours. By the time a proper coordinated search was organized, days had passed. Fresh snowfall had buried whatever the ground might have held. Whatever evidence existed in those first 10 minutes after Maura vanished, it was gone almost as fast as she was. Now think about the people in Maura's life in those final days. Her father Fred drove to her campus 2 days before she disappeared. Something was said between them that night that Fred Murray never fully disclosed in over 20 years of interviews. He was always careful, always guarded, always stopped just short of telling the full story of that visit. What did they talk about? Her boyfriend Billy Rausch was stationed at West Point the night she vanished. He received an email from Maura that day that people who read it described as unusually tender. The kind of message you write when you are not sure you will get another chance. What did she know that she wasn't saying? And then there is the cabin, the New Hampshire cabin. Maura searched directions for online that same day, a property her family had visited before. Was she running towards something or away from something? Because those are two very different stories, and which one is true changes everything. Here is where investigators hit a wall that they have never climbed over. A man who lived close to the crash site, someone whose behavior after Maura's disappearance was described by multiple people who studied this case as deeply inconsistent, was looked at seriously in the years that followed. His statements didn't always line up. His movements that night were questioned, and yet he was never publicly named as a suspect. Law enforcement examined him and kept their conclusions private. He has since died. Whatever he knew, whatever he saw, whatever happened on that road on the night of February 9th, he took it with him. And that is the kind of detail that stays with you. 20 years of searches, dozens of investigators, tens of thousands of tips, books written, podcasts produced, online communities spending years dissecting every second of the timeline. And still, nothing. No remains found anywhere in those woods. No confirmed sighting of Maura Murray after that night. No person ever charged. No story that fully holds together from beginning to end. Just a crashed car, a spilled bottle of wine, and a 10-minute window that swallowed a young woman whole. Fred Murray spent every year after February 9th, 2004 searching for his daughter. He drove those roads. He walked those woods. He never accepted that she was simply gone without an explanation existing somewhere. He died in 2024, 20 years of not knowing. And the cruelest part of this entire story is not the mystery itself. The cruelest part is that someone, somewhere, is not searching. Someone is not lying awake with questions. Someone connected to what happened on Route 112 that night has spent 20 years sleeping just fine. That person knows something. They have always known. The New Hampshire Cold Case Unit still carries Maura Murray as an active case. Tips are still being accepted. The file is still open. If you have ever driven Route 112, if you lived in that area in February 2004, if someone in your life said something that never quite made sense to you, the tip line is still open. It has been open for 20 years because the answer to what happened to Maura Murray exists. It is sitting somewhere in someone's memory or someone's conscience or someone's silence. And one day, maybe today, maybe because of this video, that silence breaks. And until next time, somebody out there knows where Maura Murray is. The question is whether they will ever choose to speak. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell.